Hello everyone and welcome to Cappuccino with HR. My name is Rudi Bauer and after 40 years in business I'm 100% sure that the success of companies is directly related to the passion of the people working for these companies. With the Cappuccino of HR we created a format where we really invite people, it's HR leaders, it's recruiters, it's talent acquisition guys, and we're talking about all the different kind of topics, and the range is going from AI of course to new work, to leadership, and all the challenges along the way. Yeah, hello and welcome to another episode of Cappuccino with HR. And today I have Kerstin with me, Kerstin Wagner. She's Executive VP Talent Acquisition at Deutsche Bahn. Hello, Kerstin. It's a pleasure to have you. It took some time preparation because you're so busy and your calendar is so full, but we finally managed it. So hello and welcome officially.
Yeah, hello. It's really a pleasure to be here. And finally, we made it. And I'm really looking forward to our discussion.
And I think we are talking today, I think we are living in times of transformation. We're really living in times of AI. We're really living in times of tough economical situations out there. So I think we are mainly talking about transformation. We are mainly talking about how to build up a sustainable talent acquisition environment. And I'm really looking forward to the conversation. But before we start, I really want to ask you to briefly introduce yourself in a few sentences.
Sure. I'm responsible for talent acquisition at Deutsche Bahn, and that means we are hiring. For example, last year we hired over 20,000 people, and that's really a variety of mix of people. So school leavers as well as blue-collar workers, but also academics as well as managers. So the full spread of profiles, and we do that with a team of 800 people. So we are responsible for permanent hires as well as for temp hires. So we really can offer the hiring manager the full-fledged portfolio of talent acquisition. And my vita, so to speak, you see it like in the background. So it's RAS. So I studied business administration in France, in Germany at the ESB, European School of Business, as well as in Canada. So I have kind of a love in terms of being on an international scene. And so living in Munich, working in Berlin, or in any other cities where we are represented at Deutsche Bahn.
And the second question that I have to ask all my guests is, as it's called Cappuccino with HR, what's your favorite coffee?
I was a real coffee, I would say junkie all my life. And actually, I stopped drinking coffee a year ago. But I found another great drink. So I like matcha tea. So I'm now really into tea. So normally I go for matcha 1 or twice a day, and in between either water or green tea or any other tea.
Okay, so you stopped drinking coffee.
I stopped drinking coffee.
I heavily tried this my entire life, but I'm a really coffee junkie as well. So I think that the longest period that I have managed to really stop drinking coffee was probably 4 days or something like this.
At least, you got it started anyway.
Yeah, I tried it. As you lead one of the largest talent acquisition organizations in Germany, how do you balance the strategic vision with the really challenging day-to-day operation? I think that's the biggest hurdle that we have. I had a podcast a couple of weeks ago where we were talking about the and the or the and instead of the or with Jürgen Hartwig from Daimler Trucks. We were discussing the topic, okay, on one hand, you need to let people go because you probably need other skills in the organization, and in the same time you hire new guys, which always starts a lot of internal discussions, of course, because it seems to be unfair. But how do you manage that kind of strategic vision with the day-to-day operation?
So it goes well together, and it should go well together, I would say. So I'm more at the party of so strategic and operational. So the day-to-day work means in talent acquisition, you really have to do hard work in order to get all the racks filled you have. And with all our volume we have, and with the mix of people we're looking for, it's kind of a challenge. And as we all know, it's a tight labor market. It's really a tight labor market. And, demographics tells us, that it won't get better over time, because the true numbers tell us a different story. And therefore, we really have to still prepare for that labor market. And therefore, it's kind of a challenge, like from a day-to-day operations. And therefore, I'm a big fan of really look into the labor market, use the full potential of labor market. Maybe we also can discuss of all the potentials we still have in the labor market. So we have to look at the labor market a little bit more with a more flexible eye. So that's the day-to-day operations. But also in the day-to-day operations, I encounter or I meet all my customers, and my customers are on the one hand side, my all the applicants out there in the market, or the people interested in our company, working for our company, and on the other hand, my hiring manager in the business. So therefore, I really get a good feeling of how the labor market is changing, and it's changing over time. And what are people looking for? What are the expectations out there? And I also know the expectation from the business. And with that, and having that said, I really can derive new ideas. I can change my processes. I can, understanding the customer expectations, I have to change my product. And that means how we recruit, or, what the job looks like, or how the job looks like. So that is something I can get from the operations day-to-day business. And that has to go into my strategy. So coming from the other end and say, look, demographics tell me that story. So the labor market will change the next couple of years in that direction. Technology comes into play. What does it mean to have artificial intelligence, automation, and all the other things we now see in the market? How can we apply that we really can have a great strategy to be at the forefront, to be ahead of the curve, still in 2 to 3 years from now? And on that strategy level, like the bigger game, you also have to look into the skill market. So as what you described, we have restructuring on the one hand side, and we have the super tight labor market where everybody's looking for people. And we have to bring both sides together. So I'm always call it a split labor market. Some profiles you find them easily in the labor market. On the other hand, you have that really the tightness. So therefore, bring both sides together, and we also have developed 2 things in that dimension. First of all, we also do both things. We place our colleagues. When we have we also have with all our new start, as we call it, our new strategy. We have people, who have to change jobs, and therefore we help them to change jobs and to find jobs either internally as well as externally. In German, it's the Job Neustart, we call it. So we use our skills as recruiters to help them position themselves in the labor market, to help them write resumes, to help them to find out, what could be my best next job. And then we acquire jobs, either internally as well as externally. And because, internally we sit on all the jobs, that's a good thing, because we are a centralized team. So we really have a good overview of all the jobs. So we can help, to smoothen this internal mobility, so to speak. But we also help them to find other opportunities out there. So that is one thing. You can do it even in recruiting, even in talent acquisition, you hire, but you also help to kind of move people to other in the labor market, in the internal labor market, as well as into the external labor market.
It would be the next question. I think if I look on the market, I was always questioning why do we have to hire so many people, and why do we have to fill up so many positions? And when I was working at Stepstone, we did an analysis internally, and we found out that 2/3 of the positions that we had to look for at the market was because we had to refill positions because we lost people. So I think retention, if there's a kind of a tough labor market, I think retention becomes more and more important. And what you described now is more or less helping to keep the retention high, because it's either moving people into new positions, or it's giving them kind of career passes, which really makes them stay for an organization. So there's a focus on retention in your team as well. So I believe.
Absolutely. And that also, that's, I'm always telling people that's the best way to recruit, recruit from inside, and, use the full potential, not only on the external labor market, but use the full potential what you have inside the company. And therefore, and that's on the, if we view now on the internal labor market, but we also have developed a method how we can kind of prognose, what's going on in 2 to 3 years from now.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the heated discussion in the market. How do jobs change? How do jobs change? If I would know that, that would make my life easier as an HR person. So therefore, we really looked into that, and now we kind of destruct or kind of put a job apart in different pieces. And then we take these pieces of a job and kind of apply all the trends, all the technology we know of. And normally it's not a matter of that a technology will come. It's only a matter when does that technology come. And so therefore we apply that for all these different pieces of a job. And if you know that how these pieces will evolve with all the technology and stuff, then we kind of recompose the job. And then we see, oh, wow, this job will change in that matter. That job will look like this in 2 to 3 years or in 5 years from now. If I know that, or I have a feeling of how it looks like, then I can come back and say, okay, then I should recruit in a different way, or looking for other skills, or I can start qualifying people now in order to be ready in a couple of years from now.
Yeah. I mean, that would have been my next question, because what I see is, I mean, at the end of the day, I think for many, many years, we were putting a kind of job description somewhere on a job board, and we were looking for a kind of a job which was described in this job description. Honestly, I think we have now reached a point in a time with all this technology arising in a speed that we never seen before, that we don't even know what we would probably exactly need in 2 years' time from now. So at the end of the day, we need to be a kind of, we need to become extremely flexible. And I think everybody is using the term skills-based hiring instead of filling open job positions. So how do you handle that? I mean, you described it already briefly, but how are you using AI to help you to have a kind of a outlook into the future, to do this kind of prognosis that you explained? How important? I mean, next question is how important. Probably we have to deal with hidden talents. I mean, there was a kind of you can't find curiosity in a CV. Honestly, I mean, CVs describing what people have done in the past. But it doesn't really help to get the kind of a clue of how curious they are, how their willingness to learn lifelong learning is. So how do you handle that kind of transformation? Because I think that's a really transformation, and it's a mindset shift as well.
Oh yeah. There are many questions. So let's start with the very interesting question. Let's start with the AI, and if you use AI for these prognosis, I just touched. Yes. So actually, we started without AI in the beginning, and that is kind of really time consuming. You really have to talk to a lot of people. You have to talk to the job owner. You have to talk to the trend experts. You have to talk to the hiring managers. you can't scale up like for thousands of jobs. So we've done it for quite some jobs, but now we started to get it done with the help of AI. And that's amazing. That's amazing, what we really kind of get as a result with using AI in that matter, to have this prognosis. So now we do the method with AI, and therefore, and then now we can scale up, and it's AI who kind of helps us and leverage the idea what we had. So therefore, absolutely, AI helps us there. Um, and sure, there is also the changes dramatically, in terms of how profiles will change, um, and therefore, using the full potential. I'm coming back to that, and really finding the hidden talents.
Mhm.
We also have to kind of be flexible as companies, to kind of look into these potentials, and meaning you won't find, and I think that's clear for everybody, you won't find that 100% match for a job.
Yeah.
I'm in that arena since years, and 100% fit. It's kind of it's a dream. It still will stay a dream.
Yeah.
But therefore, we have to be thinking smarter. So therefore, we tap into, for example, people who want to change their jobs in their 30s or 40s.
Mhm.
Normally in the market, they normally have a hard time to change jobs. You have learned a specific job, whatever. You're an electrician, and you want to become a train driver, for example.
Mhm.
Normally, if you're not in the age of apprenticeships, you have a hard time to just change jobs.
Mhm.
And therefore, we offer, no clue how the word in English is. I think we offer kind of apprenticeships
Mhm.
for people who already learned something else.
Mhm.
And you can, and age doesn't matter. And
Yeah.
you can come to us, not having, for example, know-how or expertise in driving a train, but
Yeah.
learn you how to drive a train
Yeah.
during a year or a couple of months. And then you can start in your new job. And we do that for different jobs. And therefore, we also, that's a great offer in the market,
Yeah.
that, even at a later age, with other experience, you can jump into a new world of jobs. Just an example of how flexible I think we should be
Yeah.
in using this potential, or take age.
Yeah.
So we were out there also last year with a campaign for age. It's age doesn't matter at Deutsche Bahn. No matter how old you are, the important thing is that you want to work for Deutsche Bahn, that you bring your skills. So skill-based hiring, that you bring your mindset, your motivation, but age is not a hurdle, or not like a criteria or anything like that. So that is what I think what's really important. So the hidden talents, other talent pools, looking into different talent pools, and therefore, or a couple of years ago, we just stopped looking into, what are your, how good you have been at school. No matter if you have a 1.0, or if you have like a 3.0, doesn't matter. So we don't look, we just stopped looking at your grades, and just looking into you as a person, into your skills. And therefore, last but not least, I really, we really have to kind of talk together, get to learn people, and therefore also we also do human interviews, with everybody, and most of them also like on site, that the candidate can kind of look around and meet their future colleagues, but also I can meet and I can do a good interview, like live.
Mhm. I mean, if we're talking about raising the pension ages in all over the Europe, which probably is necessary if we look on what's going on the social demographic line on the markets, I think it's probably I think we have to deal with the idea of treating. I mean, I remember when I was 50 10 years ago. Uh, I applied I already had a job, but I wanted to test the market, and I applied for marketing manager positions, and I got a brand new job as marketing director. So I just wanted to test the market, and I sent 20 applications for 20 marketing manager positions, and I got 20 no's. Definitely no's. And honestly, I know what the reason was. It was my birth date. Yeah. So I was already 50
Yeah,
at this
yeah,
time. And that showed me that the market is really broken. And I think if we want to solve the problem, I think we have really to rethink how we deal with that, because I think that's terrible behavior. And I mean, we expect from young guys, we expect 10 years of experience, even if they started 2 years ago in the labor market. And from old guys, we honestly, we don't even take them serious. And I think we definitely have to rethink that. And I love your idea that you give people the chance to really step into a new role, even if they've never dealt with it before and they've never been there and there's no expertise. So I think that's the really necessary steps to overcome that problem. Yeah?
yeah.
If you look, Kerstin, if you look on a sustainable talent acquisition teams, what are the 2 to 3 pillars that it's based on? Is it processes? Is it people? Is it governance? Is it reskilling hiring managers? Is it kind of a new kind of collaboration, cooperation? What do you think are the 2 to 3 most important pillars to really build it up in a sustainable way, being ready for what's coming next?
First of all, I would say you have to have a holistic view on talent acquisition, and talent acquisition develops as a special function, or developed over years as a specific or special function, and including a lot of areas. Meaning, as tools, you need, the positioning of your company in the market, and therefore we talk about employer branding, we talk about HR marketing. So really, kind of bring out what you have inside the company to the external market and make you understandable and kind of comprehensive, that people have can develop a good kind of view of what you can offer as a company. So that's something I think that's part of the holistic thing. And then recruiting for all the target groups, but also like data. Talent acquisition is data and tech driven. So therefore, work on your strengths in terms of data analytics, in using data, and also on the tech side. Like, you have to be ahead of the curve in terms of tech landscape. What's going on? What are the changes? What is good for us as a team? What do we want to use? Not because it's just fancy and then we use it. No, we use it when it makes us more efficient, and we use it when it makes us more candidate centric. So otherwise, it's not really helpful. So that's kind of this holistic kind of approach to talent acquisition. I think that's very important. And then that's the innovation piece as number 2, or probably it's number 1. That's the innovation piece, because we are out there in the market, so we know trends coming up, and therefore, to be ahead of the curve in this tight labor market, you really have to have this mindset of changing things very quickly. So therefore, I can't wait until everybody else is using something, and then, oh, now I'm following and kind of try it out. Now it's kind of I see something which is broken, or something I can improve, or something people expect out there in the market. Then I have to think very quickly with the team, what is our answer to that? And that is a mindset, but also a muscle you have to train. In my The innovation muscle is something you can't tell people in the team now. at whatever 9 o'clock in the morning. Now we are innovative. Now we have to get up with new ideas. That's not working in my experience. You have to train people and give them the freedom and the framework that they really understand that they can think big. I'm always telling all my people, think big in the first row. Think big, think crazy. There is no idea which is too crazy.
Yeah.
And then in the second step, we can talk about if it's really too crazy, and then, and how we can implement it, even if it's very crazy. But spill it out first, and not kind of be very tight in your thinking.
Yeah.
So be bigger in the first row, and then be also very tech savvy. If you have on the one hand side the idea you have to fix something, but on the other side you have no idea what tech is all about. So therefore we also have to kind of train our people on the tech side, that they understand how can I use AI in my daily business? How can I think bigger with using automation or AI to do something better? I think that therefore this innovation piece, we also have kind of, projects people can kind of propose. It's not a proposal from my leadership team. Like we really involve everybody to be that, to have this brain pool of 800 people, thinking about new solutions. And third pillar, I would say, it's the cooperation with the business. It's the really close partnership with the business, understanding the business, understanding also the strategy of the business. What is the strategy of the business? Where do they want to go in a year from now, in 2 years from now? Maybe I can, support now thinking with them in order to help them to fill the vacs also in 2 years from now. And that is something which is really important. So in the business, I mean also with the HR people in the business, sure. But that's very important. So these are my 3 pillars. Like really holistic approach, innovation, and cooperation, in my opinion.
How do you secure that your own team? I mean, it's a big team. I think you said it's 800 people in your team, if I got it right. How do you secure that this team is not burned out? Because I mean, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of challenges, there's a lot of extra things, and I think it's not as easy as it probably was. Because probably it was never easy, but it was much easier than today. How do you secure? What are you doing to prevent your team from getting into burnout because of all these challenges and stress which is along the way?
The simple answer is a good leadership, and value people in their work. And it's always like in my teams and how I look at leadership, it's kind of leadership should kind of create a room or a frame where you really can develop yourself. But it's not only develop yourself. You bring yourself into work in order, and that's the important piece, in order to high perform. So performance goes very well with a good, let's face it, culture, a good kind of mindset with people, how we work together. And that's always my goal, to create that atmosphere, that you really have fun at work. You can have fun at work, even if it's really challenging, even if it's really hard, even if, you're in talent acquisition, you're always measurable. It's either or. Either you fill the rack or not. It's not like in between. You don't get any medals for a nice recruiting or something. So it's either or. Either you get it or not. And therefore, have a great atmosphere, have fun at work, and also motivate people, engage people. Have a great culture, involve people, that they always are ahead of a curve in terms of, I know why we're going right and not left. So explain a lot of things. So communication, that's kind of a thing, but also the openness to create new things. And everybody has the responsibility to be part of the team and to think as part of the team to make us better as a team.
How important? I mean, you explained the psychological safety. You explained the kind of this giving them a secure environment where they can really bring in themselves. How important is failure culture? Because I think if you motivate people to do experiments, to really start thinking out of the box, to really try new ways, to really think big, as you explained it, and I think that's exactly the way it should be. There will probably be a lot of mistakes along the way, because I think world is trial and error. I think we have to try out new things. We fail. Some things work out pretty well and they lead to success. How important is a kind of an open failure culture, or a kind of a culture where you need not to hide every single mistake under the carpet?
Yeah, a very important thing. To be very high performing and to be innovative, you know, as you describe it, you have to try things out and ensure we try things out which are well thought through. So we are not just trying things out like crazy.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes you try things out 80% ready. And then we do testing. Then we do, like, you know, we really kind of look into it. We do testing. We, you know, does it work out? Does it not work out? If it's not working out, we have to kind of stop it and rethink it. We have to analyze, you know, why it's not working. So the analysis part, in my opinion, is the most important thing, that you can learn from whatever you've done, whatever you tested, whatever you know your idea was. And therefore, the learning piece, you know, what can we do better next time? How can I improve next time as a person in order to become better? So that is something you really have to focus on, not on the failure and, you know, what should we have done, like that's past, but what's the learning for next time? And that brings you also to the learning piece, learning itself. That's also something. Maybe I should add a fourth pillar to your question. What's really important in talent acquisition? It's a learning piece, because we're in a constant change. You know, with all the trends coming up, and we are the first ones, you know, kind of working with these trends and the new things. So we have to change constantly, and therefore, my experience was like learning is a key piece. Because so otherwise people kind of are frightened to go along the way with all the changes. So therefore we have kind of installed kind of a learning academy within our team. So we learn from each other. So we're not buying anything. So we learn from each other. So I have so many experts in the team.
Yeah.
And the experts kind of put together like a learning session, and they kind of bring these expertise to colleagues. And that is something we started a couple of years ago. And now we have a lot of learning journeys, a lot of kind of small little courses. And we have also a learning time, because the question always was, you know, and as a recruiter, normally you have like piles of stuff on your desk. You don't find any time to learn anything, to do a course or anything, because it's priority number 530. And I was thinking, how can I make learning priority at least top 10? I have to give time. And therefore, we started to say, look, Monday morning, 8:30 to 10:30, it's blocked in all the calendars, in all of our calendars, and also in my calendar, it's blocked. It's your learning time. There is no interview, nothing, no meeting, no nothing. It's your learning time. And therefore, we also can be very fast. If we think, oh, wow, we kind of start a new tech feature next week, I can decide now, oh, maybe we should make a session live on Monday for all the people who kind of work with that. So I can use that time. Or we have the recorded stuff. People can just click in and kind of take a training on how to use data and how to kind of use our dashboards, for example. So that's very important.
That's really cool. I mean, I was listening to the CEO of the Austrian Agentur für Arbeit, AMS, and he was saying, I think in the meantime we have reached a status where it doesn't even matter what you have studied. Yeah, it could be Old Greek. He used Old Greek as an example because he said if you're really stay curious and if lifelong learning is still a kind of a facet that you love in your life, then you're on a good track. And I see it exactly the same. I think we also need to rethink our school system because I think in many cases I think curiosity is killed in school already. Yeah. So because I think you're always named with the things that you don't have done right. So there's always a red pen instead of a green pen. So there's a lot of red things marked in every exam you do with things that you haven't done right, but there's no green ones which shows what you have done right. Yeah. And normally I think the percentage of good things is normally higher than the percentage of bad things. So, but it's never shown. And I think it really kills, I think it kills curiosity.
And it's kind of, curiosity. I think that you bring it to the point. Curiosity is kind of it's a driver of everything. It's a driver of innovation. It's a driver of kind of getting new things in your head.
Yeah.
And that is something, and especially now, I'm always telling people, look, with all the AI, jump on that bandwagon with the AI, jump on it. Because we all started at 0.0, like, I don't know, 3 years ago or something, when OpenAI just came out. For the common public. So, we are all brand new in that area. Just it's an enormous chance to kind of go there and learn new things.
And I mean, that is exactly what we plan for this year for the Congress in Berlin. And the spoiler here, I think Kerstin will be with us there as well. So if you want to hear more from her, there's a really chance to meet her in person and to talk to her and to also listen to her. But what we exactly try to do is to create this kind of curiosity, because I think we have the tech guys there. They have developed the AI. They are really good in showing you how to build an agent quickly, or they're very good in showing you how you can probably build 10 cool talent acquisition tools yourself. I mean, with vibe coding, I mean, I built a cashier desk for the church community festival that we're having in my small village where I live. And I did it with Lovable, and it's a kind of a vibe coding tool. And it was done in an hour, and it was without writing a single line of code. It was just prompting the right things and getting a result, changing the result a little bit, asking you for new features, and it was implemented in a kind of a dialogue, and it's really fun. I think it was really fun to build it. And I think if people are curious in trying things out, I think it's massive fun as well. It's not only cool results and tools, it's also massive fun. And I think we have to motivate people to really become more curious again. Before we come to an end, because the time is running so quickly out, but I have still 2 questions that I want to ask you. And one is, I did a keynote in November in Amsterdam, and I was asked to have a kind of my personal prognosis on how recruiting excellence will look like in 2035. So in 10 years from now. Last year, 10 years from that time. And I came up with a kind of transformation, of course, and I came up with a kind of my view on it. And what I did, because I didn't want to change the letters, but I want to change the meaning. And I came up with, instead of talent acquisition, so the TA for talent acquisition, I came up with talent architect.
Love it.
Which I love even more, because I think being an architect is nicer than acquiring things.
It's true.
So I really love this. What's your take on it? Will this probably be the transformation? That talent acquisition will migrate or move into talent architecture in a way of, okay, we don't know how it will look like at the end, but we are constantly building and improving it with every single step we are going. What's your take on talent architect instead of talent acquisition?
I like it. I've never thought about it, but I really like it. an architect is something, building something, but also have the bigger picture of something, like the bigger house of talent to stay in your picture. I like it, and I also have kind of the same view on that, because and we already see it right now. On the you have to look in the talent market, so you have to manage the talent markets. You have to have a good understanding of what is the offer, so to speak. Like people looking for permanent jobs, people looking just for a project, people looking for and on the other hand, you have the business side, and what your business needs, and maybe you also have to become better in knowing what's coming up in your business, and bringing those two worlds together. That's something kind of build a skill house, build a good platform where you can manage both sides, and therefore for me the architecture is fine, totally fine. And an architect also is kind of a coach to the house owner, probably, or kind of a counselor or something. And I also see that I advise in the future, I should advise way more the business in terms of, look, that's the offer, that's what we have in our talent pool internally. How can I make sure how you should construct as business your talent basis, that you're the most profitable business in the future. I think that is something I like it.
Very good. So the Deutsche Bahn has now got 800 talent architects instead of talent acquisition.
I will tell my team.
The last question, because we were talking about learning, we were talking about new skills, we were talking about being flexible. Is there one thing that you have in mind which we have to probably unlearn now? So which we really have to get rid in our mindsets, that we say, okay, we have always done it like this. We focus on it. Is there one thing where I say, okay, we should, from leadership perspective or talent acquisition perspective, we should unlearn it quickly?
Tough question. We should unlearn thinking in terms of we've done it always this way, period. So just get rid of that sentence.
Yeah.
So I think that is something which we definitely should unlearn. So sure, we are coming from a past, we have experience, but not like we've done it the last 20 years. This time it was successful. And therefore we also do it like the 21st time this way. That is something, just get rid of your head, because think freshly around new things. That I would say. So and probably also not only leadership teams are the most how should I phrase it? The best people to solve a problem. So use all the people you have, because these are brilliant brains, and use it. And sometimes
I think we're definitely living in terms where we need diversity, and we need need all the kind of thinking passes that are available. So it's not one direction. Nobody's right. I think nobody's right and nobody's wrong. I think at the end of the day, it's the kind of the sum of what comes out. If you ask 5 people, I think that the result is much better than if you ask one expert. Yeah, that's definitely for sure.
Yeah.
Kerstin, I want to end this episode with this or that. So I'm throwing topics towards you, and I want to ask you to pick one of the two which I offer you quickly without thinking too much. And I want to start with a speed of hire or quality of hire.
Quality of hire.
Structured interviews or free flow conversations?
It's a mix of both, but somehow structured.
Hiring manager training is mandatory or optional but incentivized? Because I think we have the conflict always since years.
I would add compact, short hiring manager trainings should be should be part of the portfolio. More on the hiring manager training on a voluntary basis.
AI supported sourcing or human network sourcing?
Human in the loop is king, and therefore, but with the support of AI, so I would be AI supported sourcing.
Shortlist quality or pipeline volume?
Shortlist quality.
And the last one, I think it's easy to answer because we were talking about it, but talent acquisition or talent architect?
Okay, I told you I love your talent architect, so sure, talent architect, easy one.
There's no copyright on it. I think it was just in my mind, and I used it because I laughed. I really love architecting and building things more than acquiring things. So that's purely. And the very last question that I ask all my guests as well. If Aladdin with his magic lamp would come to you now and he would offer you one wish, what would it be? Could be a private one or a kind of a job related one.
The one wish is that peace on earth. That's the big one that really we are one humankind, and therefore
I think that's probably the most important in times like this. To see what's going on there. Kerstin, it was a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed the conversation. I hope the audience is enjoying it the same way while listening to it later on, but I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for your time. I'm really looking forward to seeing you in Berlin. And I think there will be great times as well. And so thank you so much. And the audience, please stay tuned what's coming next. So goodbye. See you.
Bye-bye. See you.
Thank you for watching Cappuccino with HR. If you enjoy this kind of conversations, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Then you get all this kind of upfront information, your upcoming episodes, and all my nice guests. Cappuccino with HR is brought to you by We Are Developers, Europe's #1 developer community and a leading platform for connecting HR and companies together with developers. If you want to learn more, visit us on wearedevelopers.com. Thank you again for watching and see you next time on Cappuccino with HR.